And let me set this up with just a little bit of a background. For those that haven't been to our website, maybe some of this won't be known to you, but it has become an issue, and over the last 6 or 8 weeks, I've now had some specific conversations with different city leaders, a couple of people complaining. But basically what we're talking about is, should we limit expression? On our website right now, it's one of the few websites in the country where you can go in and immediately after the story, you can post a comment of up to, I don't know, it's like 500 characters or 100 and some odd words. And you can post your comment. You can do so anonymously. You don't have to respond or register. It's a free-flowing dialogue of which we monitor but very little. We only kind of look for serious transgressions and then take them out. That responder portion of our website is very popular. I was looking through some of the data of how much it's used. There's as many as 1,000 hits or actual responses a month. 1,000 times people are posting stories. Some of the most widely have as many as 300 or 400 posts. And yet those posts are not always in the best taste. So I've had meetings with some different people who have come to us and said it's irresponsible for us to allow that posting. We should monitor it. We should have some anonymity. There's been one person who's felt like they've been the victim of kind of attacks on that. And so, I don't know, we figured it's time to reopen the debate. We didn't really plan on this when we started, but now here we've got this extremely wild and woolly forum, which isn't always in the best of taste, and maybe it's time for us to shore it up.
I think it's pretty interesting that, given the fact that this is the basis of free speech, giving someone the opportunity to respond to our articles, respond to our editorials, respond to letters, this is encompassing everything that so-called free speech stands for. It's bringing the community together and just letting the communities battle it out or speak civilly or just have discussions about whatever interests them. For us to sit as the governing authority and dictate who gets to say what, I think that's subverting the process a little bit.
What do you think, Miles?
I don't think the process is a perfect analog to just people sitting around talking and expressing free speech. When it's anonymous, that automatically adds this element that just allows people to get nasty, mean,
and it's impersonal,
crazy.
It's impersonal too. It's not just anonymous. It's you're by yourself at a computer firing it off into the ozone. There's no
right. So it's almost like they're different creatures than the regular humans who we're used to talking to each other. They're in this little world, and we're using no rules to keep them in check, and they don't have a self-modulating bone in their bodies because they're sitting in the dark in a room.
You know what's ironic about this, and I've thought a lot about it, it's almost the difference between actually answering a phone call from somebody who you don't necessarily know who it is, but you hear their voice and you have a conversation, as opposed to them leaving a message on your answer machine. And believe me, my answer machine's been abused, made Orphan Annie look like they love to attack my answer machine. People, when I actually answer the phone, rarely are as uncivil to me when I have that. That's what I mean by the impersonal side. There's something about that unfettered reaction that brings out the worst in people.
I believe you're absolutely right, but I think that if we required people to register, and in that way we know who they are, and they know we know who they are, I think it sort of takes away some of the entertainment value.
It does, and it also hinders a lot of people. I mean, I tried to register on our website, and quite frankly, I got so bored with it, I moved on. I mean,
Thanks.
We'll get that fixed. But the impulsive nature of it is good. What's so ironic is what we intended for this to be. Ideally, it was exactly that. It was not the arrogance of the newspaper. As soon as it comes out in black and white, that's the final word and whatever it was. But here we're posting what we do and allowing everybody else that same forum. Criticize us, say that there's an error, talk about the story, react to the story. What's happened, and I still believe that's a tremendous value. I think it's one of the things of modern media. We're actually opening up the power that we have as media to anybody to use in a fair way. The problem is that very quickly, now we have a lot of months of seeing it, the conversation digresses completely away from the news value of the story and what the story is about, and it turns into this kind of chat room debate kind of thing that doesn't have as much value. Well, then the bottom line is that then is attached to that story forever. And all this stuff goes with it, and you got this this whole inane kind of conversation that really doesn't, it isn't of high journalistic value or even community value, and it's there then.
I think you guys are making a good point, and Miles touched on it. The anonymity factor allows people to degenerate to the lowest common denominator in our society, and they quickly do that. But then it becomes this big entertainment for them, and people log on because they don't have to be who they are. They don't have to reveal who they are, and they can just have fun.
Right.
And now it just opens it all up, and they can have serious discussions. They can have fun discussions. They can just be silly. They can be whatever they want. But if you relegate it solely to registering, then people have to be a little bit more tame. And that's one of the reasons why we have the forum.
So they can register.
So they can register and have these civil discussions, and people can know who they are, and we can monitor if someone gets out of line, and so on and so forth. So we're giving them both.
Okay, wow.
Holy cow.
That has a bell
a
and
good
a
alarm.
half, I gotta tell you.
Do we know what we want to do on that?
I got a proposal. We're gonna take 30 seconds. Don't tell Pete. Here's my proposal. I don't think anonymity is the problem. You get somebody like, who we'll see one of his comments later, Enough, and I'm actually going to do a story on who Enough is, because he or she has been a very civil responder, active responder, aggressive responder, but never called names, never digressed, has a lot to say, and has stirred up a lot of attention to his ideas, and his very position has been, I just want to be evaluated on the basis of my ideas. As soon as my face is there, it'll all come off. Sure. And we've seen some good with that. What I want to do is, I don't want the response, the registration, I don't want to limit it, but what I want to do is get rid of I want to just have a barrier that we somewhat come up with and just say, this is below the pale, we're not putting it in because we can. And we just take that stuff off. That's where I'm leaning. But
then we weigh that against the massive amount of time of who's going to look through all that stuff.
I think it can be done. We'll see. Anyway, let's see what they have to say about it.